Hello and welcome to the Somatic Movement and Mindset podcast with me, clinical somatic educator and founder of Total Somatics, Heidi Hadley. The Somatic Movement and Mindset podcast has been designed to help you gain a deeper understanding to how your mind and body work. You will learn about your amazing mind and body and why over time you can feel pain, recurring injuries and poor posture. Within this podcast, I will teach you why this doesn't have to be your future or the norm for you. Would you like to learn how to reduce pain, move freely, and gain a new lease of life? Let's get started. Hello and welcome back. Now, just before we get started, just as a reminder, if you're watching this on the YouTube channel for Total Somatics, please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and press the notification bell. So every single time I release an episode, you're the very first to find out. Also, what I want to do is invite you to a free online series of workshops that I'll be holding in May. And so it's called Mindful in May. I do it every single year. And this year, what I'd like us to do, again, is really focus on how we can recalibrate and reset our nervous system, soften our muscles, and help us be fully prepared emotionally, mentally, physically, and energetically for the second half of the year. So if you can join me, please go to totalsomatics.com/May. That's totalsomatics.com/May. Okay, so let's get started with today's episode. Now, last time we considered how our perception and our expectation would heighten or damage the startle reflex. Do you remember that? So today what we're going to do is consider how our expectation and perception are heightened. And as a result of that, they amplify a very strong startle reflex and how that really does show up. Because let's consider nowadays, people are living incredibly busy lives. They're trying to balance family dynamics, financial concerns, work situations, geopolitics, and other issues to do with staffing, colleagues, employment, security, health issues. There's that 24/7 drip of information coming through from social media, through from the internet, from television and radio. And so this continues to create this bombardment of stress and pressure, and it creates an anxiety and an overwhelm for people. And, you know, underneath their skin, a variety of actions are occurring as a result. What we see a lot of is muscle tension. And this muscle tension is in response to a very stressed nervous system, which is starting to create muscular patterns of tension. We see it through your belly, through your legs, through your rib cage, through your waist muscles. We see it across your chest, into your arms, your shoulders, your neck, your jaw, your eyes, you know, your eye muscles themselves, also your tongue, your eyebrows, and also across your forehead. All of these areas are imprinting and holding that stress and tension. And so the continual contraction long-term on these muscles will cause us to live in an incredibly strong reflex postural pattern. And these patterns will create a rounding of the shoulders. They'll create the tailbone to tuck up and under and create that overall stooped posture, that rounded shoulders. And you know, this postural pattern creates a lot of physiological issues too. And two that we're going to consider are impotence and hemorrhoids. So the abdominal muscles during this startle reflex, or this red light reflex that we know it in Total Somatics, what it actually does is the muscles of the abdominal region will contract. They're going to draw your breastbone down towards your pubic bone and draw your pubic bone up towards your breastbone. So these two ends will come closer together because of the muscle contraction through the abdominal region. And then what happens is that your tailbone or your coccyx is going to be impacted by this, because between your pubic bone and your coccyx or your tailbone, we have this muscular sling, and it's called the perineum. Now, due to the incredibly strong postural reflex action of the red light reflex that we see, this muscular sling will actually tighten. So it tightens all of the perineal muscles. And at the same time, the contraction of the reflex is increasing pressure through the abdominal region as a whole. And this then creates contraction through the urethra and also through the anus. Now, this chronic tightening around blood vessels is going to impact the amount of blood flow and also the sensation that's felt within the penis and also through the clitoris. And as a result of this, it means that the engorgement of blood to those areas just doesn't happen. And as a result of that, it creates impotence, because people who have got chronically contracted abdominal region in this whole perineal area too, they just will find that there is a huge impact to the blood flow and the sensation that we should have in that area. At the same time, if people are exhibiting this red light posture, they're going to start to feel that they are shallow breathers. And that shallow breathing also brings about feelings of anxiety. When we have that feeling of anxiety, it then creates this vicious cycle. It takes us into a further patterning of tension and stress and grounding and going into that fetal position even more so. So can you see how important it is that we start to recalibrate and reset your nervous system? Because this will continue as a subconscious or an unconscious muscular pattern of tension and tightness. But I'd like us to also consider the chronic abdominal and perineal areas, or the contraction that causes the anus to contract too. Because constant tension will basically not allow your anus to relax and allow you to poo, to allow for that nice bowel movement. So what happens is it creates this increase of pressure to the anal sphincter. So the sphincter is that little muscle. It's a little muscle that controls how much your anus will open and close to allow poo to move through. So if the sphincter is chronically tight, it means that that pressure builds up. It impacts the blood vessels, should I say. And if there's this intense pressure that's happening at the anus, then what happens is the blood vessels get impacted and it causes hemorrhoids. So it's pretty serious that we get this area to relax, because it's very unpleasant. It's very uncomfortable having internal or external hemorrhoids. So the more that we learn to soften and release this abdominal perineal area, it's going to reduce the symptoms and all of the physiological responses that happen to impotence, but it also is going to help release all the issues that happen with hemorrhoids. Because if we just go back to the anus and hemorrhoids as a whole, no amount of cutting or stretching or chemically treating the anus will solve the anus issue. The sphincter is tight because of it being a functional issue. It's not a structural issue, it's functional. So what we need to do is look at what is impacting the functional behavior of the anus. What is contracting and causing that issue? And we know it's from a brainstem stress response. It's that reflex pattern, that red light reflex pattern in this instance. And the way that we can reduce and reverse that pattern is to do the movements that I teach within total somatics, because what we're doing is using the process of pandiculation, which wakes up the parts of your brain which are patterning the tension right through to your rectum. When we actually change the way your brain, the sensory motor cortex in particular, the way that that area is communicating to all the muscles that are impacted by the red light reflex, then we can change the state of your nervous system and change the tension and tone within your muscular system. So that's why I'm really inviting you to consider how important it is that we change the state of our nervous system. We create this recalibration and this reset within our nervous system by getting to the reflex patterns which influence all of these things right down to the anus. It's so important that we soften and release everything. We have got used to years of internalizing emotions and stress and pressure, and yet your body cannot cope with pushing these things all the time down. At different times, they're going to show up in different physiological ways. And so what we want to do is create a lovely, healthy, vibrant, happy body, and also a nervous system which has got flexibility. We are going to endure very stressful times. However, it's being able to come in and out of those reflex patterns. Because don't forget, we don't want to get rid of these reflex patterns. They're here for our survival. They're here to protect us. The problem is people don't know how to get out of them. And because of stress and other aspects, they're just living locked in these patterns of tension. So that's why I'm inviting you. Please come along to Mindful in May. Every weekend, I will be holding a live workshop. We'll be targeting different areas to really become mindful and notice what's going on, basically from the inside out, because we can do lots of things which can be more of an outward focus, but we're going to get to the center of a lot of things that are stirring up or causing recurring issues and pain. So if you go to totalsomatics.com/May, you will be able to leave your details there. And then as soon as I open the doors to invite you to the Zoom session, either live or replay, if you've put your details in that little box, your email address, you will be given the live link or the replay link, and you'll be able to watch that for a limited time. So join me for the next episode, where we're going to continue to delve into these reflex patterns and again, see how they show up and see what we can do to recalibrate and reset. And also don't forget, these episodes are a wonderful foundation for Mindful in May, so that when you and I get together, we can just leapfrog on from this to then start looking at proactive ways of recalibrating and resetting your beautiful nervous system. So until next time, all my love and my very best wishes. Take care. Bye. Thank you for joining me today. If you've enjoyed this episode, please leave a rating and also forward this on to somebody you know will benefit. To learn more about pain relief, plus how to improve your health and well-being, go to totalsomatics.com. Until next time, take care.